the Korean War from 1950 to 1953 by Ethan Davenport. What was the Korean War, you ask? The Korean War was the conflict between the communist and the non-communist forces in Korea. And when did this happen? It happened June 25th, 1950, and it ended in July 27th, 1953. And who was involved? North Korea and South Korea were split up. And North Korea had China, and South Korea had the United Nations. North Korea and China were both communist, and they were trying to spread communism by invading South Korea. And North Korea and China also had Russia to back them up, which is actually a really bad lineup if you're South Korea. They're all communist state nations, and they're all attacking South Korea, and the United Nations come to back up South Korea, and the U.S. kind of felt obligated to go and help, and they did, because at the time they were fighting Russia in the Cold War, which actually made it really interesting. Where did this happen? The Korean War was based in Korea, South and North Korea, split up by the 38th parallel, which is that gray little line separating North and South Korea on the map there. And you can see that North Korea invaded South Korea in the maroonish kind of color coming down, and invading Pusan, and now the non-communist nations actually retaliated into upper North Korea. You can see them in green coming back out of Pusan and entering into northern Korea. And you can see the little green line, the furthest you had advanced. Why did the Korean War happen? The main purpose of the Korean War was just another attack in the ongoing Cold War between the U.S. and the USSR. You could actually say that the USSR planned to go into this war to distract the ongoing Cold War, and that could be true. The biggest trigger for the North Korean War was the communist battle between the countries, and it was also referred to as the domino theory. What is the domino theory? The domino theory is basically why so many people were involved in the Korean War. North Korea invaded South Korea with Russia and China on its side, which were all communist nations. South Korea had the UN and USA, which were also non-communists. So it was basically communism versus non-communism. And this was the big headline for this war, was communism versus non-communism, and how that was going to match up. And the only reason that the U.S. got involved was because the time that they were in the Cold War against the USSR, and another main reason was really that they didn't want to support communism at all, and they were fearing that the communism would spread and they would take over the world. Korean War and globalization. The biggest examples of globalization in the Korean War were the fact that the nations are fighting in what they believed in, and it's not just fighting a war to fight a war. It's, I'm fighting for this reason, to spread communism, and I don't care if I really care that you're communism, and I want to take you over, and I want to spread communism all over the world. That was their big punchline. as you would say. And in 1949, 1 year before the war even had started, Kim Jong-un persuaded Stalin of Russia and Mao Tse-tung of China to support an invasion on South Korea. So even before the war started, North Korea knew that they were going to invade South Korea and try to, during the Cold War, that was the main reason Stalin came in and push into South Korea and tried to take over them. And the main reason why Mao Tse-tung and China came in was just because of communism, and why they had to come in and try to spread communism over the world. And more background information. The North Korean invasion came as an alarming surprise to American officials, as it's hard to seem, but as far as they're concerned, this was not just a simple border dispute between two unstable dictatorships on the other side of the world. Instead, many feared that it was going to be the first step in a communist campaign to take over the world, and for this reason, non-intervention was not considered an option by many top decision makers. And after World War II, both the United States and USSR did not want to get in any military aggressions to occur, as they were getting tired of all these fights that were going on. And the U.S. had a major concern for the spread of communism that can be observed through the state's direct military involvement. Basically, this is saying that the U.S. came in really fast, tried to support South Korea as fast as they could, and stop communism from spreading. And they also were in the war with Russia, and they could not let Russia fight and them not be part of it, so they felt forced to come in and back South Korea up. And due to the fact that the Korean War occurred during the Cold War era with the direct military engagement of the U.S. and the USSR, the Korean conflict can be seen as a continuation of the United States and the USSR's rivalry for their imperialism. This is the end of my Korean War project. Thank you.